60? Fucking hell. Hey folks, it's Abby and I am doing a big unhaul. It is needed. I need books off of my shelves, I need space. I'm going to be getting some for Christmas, I got some for my birthday. We need to get rid of the books. So, I've made some stacks. They are different genres. We're going to delve straight into them. Starting with a nice small stack, we have mystery thrillers. I have enjoyed many, if not all of these. All of them actually, but I'm not going to reread them, so they can depart my life and enrich somebody else's. First up we have The Cutthroat Trial by S.J. Fleet, also known as The Secret Barrister. This was sent to me by the folks over at Book Break, so I will be gifting this to a friend or recycling it. We shall see. But I enjoyed this one. The Witchfinder's Sister by Beth Underdown, gifted to me by an old high school friend. This was really engrossing, but also really depressing. The Killer on the Wall by Emma Kavanagh. This is set in the northeast of England, so highly recommend. The Wall is Hadrian's Wall, if you know you know. Really good read. Won't reread it. The Three Assassins by Kotaro Isaka. This is the first book in the trilogy that includes The Bullet Train. I enjoyed this. I won't reread it. I've kept The Bullet Train for now because I might reread that one. We shall see. But this can go. Then we have The Chase by Ava Glass. This is a fantastic set in London mystery following spies, crime, all of that good stuff. And I do want to carry on with the series, but I don't think I'm going to reread this, so it can enrich someone else's life. And then the last two, I loved these. We have The Girl in 6E by A.R. Tor and Do Not Disturb by the same author. I still want to read the third and final book, but it's like 18-20 quid for the paperback. I don't know why, because these were £8. But even Waterstones, it's like £20 for the paperback. And I'm not doing that, and I'm not asking any of my friends to do that. So, I'm going to read it via ebook, and I don't think I'll reread these. I might have done if I'd gotten to it back in the day, but I did not. So, these can go and be enjoyed by someone else. I've managed to have a good cull of my non-fictions, so I have them in a paperback and a hardback stack. Do the hardbacks first. First off is one by Peter Schmeichel. This is a memoir from a goalkeeper who used to be a Man United goalkeeper, my team. I enjoyed this actually, I learnt a lot, but we'll never reread it. That's the main, I keep saying that, that's the main indicator for me, is if a book wasn't 5 stars, and if I'm not going to reread it, and if I think that it will get more love somewhere else, then it gets unhauled. Otherwise, if I didn't like it, it was already in the stacks and it's already gone. What a Girl Wants by Roxy Bordillion is a memoir of the woman who now writes the Diva magazine, learning about her sexuality and growing up in Britain under Section 28, which was a law that stopped teachers mentioning LGBTQ+ folks. A very interesting read. Another really interesting one, Between Starshine and Clay. The foreword is by Bernardine Evaristo and it was edited by Sarah Ladipo Manika. And this is Conversations from the African Diaspora. This was gifted to me by the wonderful folks over at Footnote, and there are some wonderful people mentioned in here. Toni Morrison, Soliwa Sitol, Wole Soyinka, Henry Louis Gates Jr., Willard Harris, Michelle Obama, Cory Booker, who's an interesting person now. Good and bad from Cory Booker. Anyway, this is, it's on the back, I didn't even need to find the content page. This is a really interesting collection and I have been so tempted to keep it on my shelves just because it's a great reference, it's a great collection of work from some amazing people, but I think it would do more good if more people could read it. Eleanor by Alice Loxton, another one from Book Break. I enjoyed this one, I had a great time with it. Not going to reread it. This is all about walking the 200 miles that it took to get Eleanor of Castile home after her death in 1920. Regenesis by Georges Monbiot. He's English, Georges Monbiot. This is all about how we can actually create the food that's needed for the entire planet of humans, including meat eaters, without destroying the damn planet and killing ourselves while we're at it. It does include some of the stuff about eating vegan and vegetarian, of course it does, those are important parts of everyone's diet, we all need to eat vegetables, but it also then includes about eating meat and how we can actually responsibly do so in this environment. I'm just promoting all of these books. I'm not mad about it. And then the last hardback is You've Been Publicly Shamed by John Ronson. This is pop psychology. I really enjoyed this when I read it, but I last picked this up in like 2016. Now for the paperbacks, we have Pulling at the Chariot of the Sun by Shane McRae. I struggled with this one. It's written in a very poetic style and I just couldn't get into it, unfortunately. Among Flowers by Jamaica Kincaid. I have read this and loved it, but this is the water damaged edition, and I'm going to offer it to a charity shop, and they can take it if they think it will sell. And if not, none of my friends have wanted it, so recycling. Normally Weird and Weirdly Normal, My Adventures in Neurodiversity by Robin Ince. This is a man discovering in his 50s that he is neurodivergent, working with that discovery and doing a lot of research about it because of his interest in it, and then writing this book. The Aliens Are Coming by Ben Miller, The Extraordinary Science Behind Our Search for Life in the Universe. This is another one I read a while ago, I think in 2018, and I haven't picked it up since, so even though this was really enjoyable, and if you're British, you may know his face. This was really well written, it's well researched, I enjoyed it, I've not touched it in 6 years. I Used to Know That Geography by Will Williams. This is just a fun, silly book. It is actually quite good if you are wanting to like refresh your memory on GCSE geography. I have a master's degree. Ancient Egyptian Warfare by Ian Shaw. Very educational, quite difficult to read. Never gonna, no. Sociopath by Patrick Gagne. This was another one from Book Break, thank you folks. This was a memoir of her life growing up with undiagnosed sociopathy. Interesting, but I didn't love it. Is This Working by Charlie Colnut. I want more people to read this. This was from Book Break, and this is a selection of interviews with people who work across a variety of different industries, and it's just a few pages from each. We've got a billing clerk, police officer, an advertising copywriter, a job centre work coach, a joiner, a baker, and a call centre worker. Are just some of the random ones that I picked up. This is in the UK that they've been interviewed. And it's just talking about their jobs, what they do, the biggest like difficulty that they struggle with at the job, what they enjoy about it, what they hate about it, and it was really interesting. But it's not the sort of thing you go back to really unless you specifically want to know what a paramedic thinks of their job, or a dairy farmer, or a nightclub worker. And so it's very, very interesting, and I want more people to pick this up. Unfortunately, it is an ARC copy, so I'm going to have to try and get it into the hand of a friend. On the Rock by Alvin Karpis and Robert Livesey? This is about someone who spent 25 years in Alcatraz. It is a biography. The guy was interviewed and then Robert Livesey wrote it. This was fascinating. This was so intriguing. It was actually gifted to me in an unhaul from one of my wonderful friends, Annie, and it was so curious to learn about the system in Alcatraz, the different levels of dehumanization depending on who was running the system, and how it did not help. He says, there's a final sentence in this. I just need to read this whole paragraph, I'm very sorry, but it's so, like, Alcatraz has been an exercise in survival. If I could, at this moment, escape successfully, I would still kill anyone in my path. If I paroled at this moment, I would head straight for my friends, who would hopefully set me up in a protected position with organised crime. The rules, the regulations, the routine of Alcatraz have done nothing to reform me. Reform awaits me, although I don't realise it at this moment, on McNeil Island with the warden. A quarter of a century in Alcatraz has been an empty, futile experience. All it was a punishment. And whilst that is deserved for some crimes at some levels, no rehabilitation was done in Alcatraz, and in fact those who left often reoffended. And the whole point is to stop them from damaging the rest of society. So a very, very interesting book. Why am I getting rid of it? Alice Loxton again, with 18, A History of Britain in 18 Young Lives. I think that some young adults will deeply enjoy learning about some names they'll have heard of, like Bede, for example, the Venerable Bede, but also some they haven't. And then finally for non-fiction is another John Ronson, and this is The Psychopath Test. Again, read it back in the day, enjoyed it back in the day, pop psychology, not going to read it again. I live with a psychologist, I can get that if I need it. Then we move on to the contemporary books. This is another fairly small stack, because I don't read too much contemporary anyway. The first two are two that were water damaged. If you saw that saga, we have Putting Myself Together and The Autobiography of My Mother, both by Jamaica Kincaid. I have copies of these, but these aren't so water damaged that they can't be read. So again, I shall offer them up to the charity shop and see if they want them. Black Enough, Stories of Being Young and Black in America. This is edited by Ibby Zaboy. I really enjoyed this when I read it, but it is YA focused, so it's not for me. The Other Black Girl by Zakiya Dahlia Harris. I got this as an unhaul because I read it as an ebook, as an ARC from NetGalley, and I intended to reread it because people have had very different opinions to me on it, and I just never have, and I never will. Open Water by Caleb Azuma Nelson. I loved this book. This was so intriguing, but it's very out of my usual wheelhouse, and it's just not gonna get picked up again. Shimiso by Brian Chigwawa. I struggled with this book. It was very informative, very good for me to read. It's good to struggle with something, but I really couldn't relate to the main character, and whilst I loved that and I rated it highly for that, it does mean that it's not one that I'm going to love and have on my shelves. The Correct Order of Biscuits by Adam Sharp. This is essentially a bind-up of tweets, and I enjoyed reading it. It was a wonderful present, thank you very much, Caitlin. But once you've read it once, that's kind of it. And then last but not least for the contemporaries is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. I spray painted these edges myself. I think it matches very well, if I do say so. This is a really interesting book all about OCD, and I read it at the time, I enjoyed it at the time, and I've never touched it since. It also has a little wristlet that someone can enjoy with it. Then next up are the sci-fi books that I am unhauling. The first one, The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness, I gave 4.5 stars. I loved this one, but I don't think I'm going to reread it anytime soon. I don't own the other two books and have no plan on buying them, and so this way someone else can read this amazing intrinsic world. Rose House by Arcady Martin, I enjoyed this one again, but I didn't love it and it just wasn't quite perfect for me, and so unfortunately off it goes. One Yellow Eye by Lee Radford. This was so intriguing, like all about a infection and someone who had chained their husband up because he became this zombie from the infection, but she was determined she was going to fix him, and it's about her trying to do that. She is actually a scientist, and it's absolutely fascinating, but not going to reread it. The Quiet by Barnaby Martin. Same thing here. Really fascinating, really enjoyable. I recommend this. This woman has a son that she's trying to protect. He has this musical talent, and in this world that means being taken away and experimented on, and so she's trying to keep him safe. The Last White Man by Mohsin Hamid. This one was really good but also had issues in it, and Olivia said this better than I did, but it's also quite a basic level of talking about racism. So a very good one to read, but not one that you're going to keep. The Memory of Animals by Claire Fuller. This is another pandemic-y one. Why am I getting rid of them all? And this is about a woman who, she signed up for a vaccine trial because the world has got this virus going on, and she ends up going under, and when she wakes up, the streets outside are completely empty in central London, but there seem to be other people in the flat that they were in for the tests, and it's about survival and trusting each other when you have no one else to rely on. Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro is about a robot friend for children and how this robot is learning about humanity. And lastly, Service Model by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I have a paperback copy of this and I need shelf space, so the hardback is going and I'm keeping the paperback. I'm trying to be quick because there's a lot of books here. And then the fantasy stack I have just got. This is the biggest one, no one is surprised, it is the biggest amount that I read. So let's dive into those. The first books I'm going to mention are written by a TERF. Please see this timestamp if you want to skip this section. But I am unhauling The Tales of Beedle the Bard, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and Quidditch Through the Ages, all by Joanne Rowling. These, I loved Potter, as everyone did who was British and liked reading. I have so many fond memories of the series, and I will keep my paperbacks, which I think are in my parents' loft, but I'm never going to display them. I probably won't reread them. I just can't. Maybe one day, but I can't right now. But I can get rid of these. I read them much later. They are fine. They don't need to stay on my shelves. They were hidden away so that no one had to see them, and now they can go and, I don't know, someone else can pick them up. I think that a lot of kids still read the series, and whilst it's not the best series, there's a lot of fat phobia, homophobia, racism, weird stuff about enslavement. It's not the best series to give to children, but people still do who just aren't online at all and don't know, so it might bring some child some joy until they find out and then are unjoyed. Let's move on from that and discuss the other books that are leaving my home. The Dark Vault by V.E. Schwab. This is 2 books bound up, the archived and the unbound. Ironic. It was fine. I read it and it was fine. 1,000 Nights by E.K. Johnson. This was a really good, like, 1001 Nights kind of retelling, retake, and I really enjoyed this. It was really fun, but I don't read much YA. Iron and Embers by Helen Shearer. I surprisingly enjoyed this romantasy. This is romantasy, and I enjoyed it. However, this is a big book, and I have read the other books via ebook. I was only sent the first one. So this is going to go off to a friend of a friend who really likes romantasy books. I don't know if she knows that, but she's getting it. Empress and Aeneas by Candice Carty-Williams. This is technically more of a contemporary, but it's got a fairly heavy fantastical twist, and it was a fun little book to read. It was from Olivia, from an unhaul from her. Hi Abby, I hope you enjoy this. It's also short, so it won't be on our TBR for long, from Olivia Savannah, and it was not. This is also signed by Candy Carter-Williams, and I just think that if... This is a YA as well, and I think if some teenager finds this and it's signed, and they're going to be obsessed. And it also has a lot of important messaging in there for such a tiny book. The Rag Witch by Garthnix. I adore his Sabriel series. This one was good, but it was just fine. More Schwab, we have A Darker Shade of Magic and A Gathering of Shadows, the first 2 books in A Darker Shade of Magic series. There are 3 in the main trilogy and then more after that. I will not be getting to any more, and I will be reading A Conjuring of Magic at some point in 2026, hopefully, and then these will be going. They actually have a home that they are going to, the V.E. Schwab books. They're going to be sent over to Sweden, so they will reach a loving home, not with me. Another YA, The Memory Eater by Rebecca Mahoney. This is about a young girl who goes to this creature that is in a cave by the seaside, and they're able to... She kind of controls the creature. It's her hereditary inheritance. Yeah, sure. And people of the town go there to forget memories that they don't want to think about, so it might be silly mistakes that they've made, or like a bad breakup, or a divorce, or the loss of someone, and she eats their memories, but she's getting, this creature, she's getting too powerful, and it's about figuring that out, keeping the town safe. It's a good read. I ended up with 3 copies of Cinder House by Freya Mask. I loved this. It's so good. It's so good. Loved it. So I'm keeping one of them, but I have 2 copies. One is the water damaged one. It's that one. And so again, that's going to be offered to the charity shop, and they can do as they will. And this one is in perfectly good nick. Someone else can enjoy this tiny novella that packs so much of a punch. Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. This was unhauled to me by Olivia Savannah and is being unhauled onwards. There are issues with the House in the Cerulean Sea. The first book anyway, a lot of indigenous peoples from North America are unhappy with it, which is why I didn't want to buy this one, but when it was offered as an unhaul, there was no financial transaction, so I decided to take that and try it then. It's not as good. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. It's not as good. If you loved the first book, and if you care less about what the indigenous folks say, then it'll be a fine read, but I don't need it. And then for the final 6, these are interesting ones. First up, A Pirate's Life for Tea by Rebecca Thorne. I'm keeping my collection of the Tomes and Tea series, don't you worry. I have the first one in hardback and the rest I have in paperback arcs. So at some point, if I can find like a second-hand copy or something, I'd like to replace the first one with a paperback, but I don't need to keep like 2 hardbacks and then 2 arcs. So this is going to go to a better home. Also, I can't donate the arcs, but I can donate this finished hardback. So this way an arc isn't being illegally sold, but someone else can still enjoy the story because this is a finished copy. Then I have 2 books that I ended up with 2 copies of, and they were just hoarded in my shelves for a while because I didn't know what to do with them. They were both gifted to me, and I'm very grateful for those gifts, and so I wasn't sure what to do, but they are going to leave my life now. That is The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy. This is a wonderful little story, and someone is going to absolutely love getting this beautiful copy, so it will go to a much better home. And then The Devil and the Dark Water by Stuart Turton. The wonderful Caitlin from Letters from Kinraddy, I almost said the old name there, gifted me this hardback edition, and I adore it, and I'm very grateful. But my partner also gifted me the paperback version, and so this one is going to be passed on to a different home because it's bigger and takes up a lot more space. Thank you very much to both my partner and to Caitlin, and also to my friend Georgia, who gifted me this. The shocking one. I can't even believe I'm saying this. I'm going to get rid of my Fairy Loot exclusive Scythe trilogy. Who am I? Just saying, I'm keeping my paperbacks. Gorgeous sprayed edges, beautiful dust jacket. Why am I doing this? They're gorgeous under the dust jacket. Oh, they're so beautiful. I shouldn't have looked at them. And they also have reversible dust jackets, which I'm not a big fan of the artwork, which is why I haven't reversed them. More books are coming out. I have the paperback collection. Oh, this is so beautiful, but I don't need them. So I am going to sell them. I will have made a financial loss. I will try and sell them to recoup some of the money, but at least I've had the prettiness on my shelves and someone else can enjoy them now. And that's my big book unhaul. I just went and counted them all. I have 60 exactly. I'm very pleased with myself. I have 60 books that I'm getting rid of. What the fuck? I want to try and sell some of them, like the special editions and stuff, on Vinted. We shall see how that goes. I tend to give up and then just donate them, but we shall see. Please let me know down in the comments below if you think I'm making a mistake with any of these, because none of them will go quickly. Do you remember the last unhaul video? They are all still in my spare room. So none of them will go very quickly. So let me know your thoughts down below. Should I be keeping some of these? Should I be making space on my shelves for some of them? I would be very curious to see how big of a mistake I am making. Thank you so much for watching, folks. If you'd like to see all of the new books I'm going to haul in 2026, then please do hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!